What up? What up? What up, peeps? What up, twin? What up, T family? I've been like after my earache on my last video I told y'all about. I had like nauseation like 2 days after or a day after. But if you don't see me smoking, I can't. But sorry if it's hard to watch this video. But I do have the smoking right there, but that hurts my stomach and makes me vomit and everything. But yeah, but so it's like I know it's gonna be hard to get through this video, but this is a Delta pilot arrested 20 minutes before depart. So make sure you're safe and protected on these airplanes when y'all flying from different countries. Make sure you go check out 74 Gear. I will leave the link in the description below. But make sure you're protected on these airplanes when y'all flying from different countries, different whatever. You feel me? Yeah. Alright.
In uniform being arrested in St. Paul. It's about noon on a Tuesday. And before we get into why he got arrested and the entire interrogation process,
before I ask you any questions, you kind of just want to tell me kind of what's been going on.
We first need to talk about how all the alarm bells got sounded this Tuesday morning in July. Pilots inside the airport terminal environment typically interact with the airport police one time as they enter in the airport, and that is known as known crew member. We call it KCM, which is where we start. Here's the pilot going through KCM. He hands what I think is his driver's license, and then he scans his KCM barcode, which we usually keep right behind our badge. And then he has to show his badge to the TSA agent. What happens when you scan your barcode is on their screen it pops up your picture and then if you're approved or not. So let's say you're on a leave of absence from your airline. You don't have access to KCM anymore, so it will say unapproved. I know that because it happened. I did a training, and during that training, for some reason, I got categorized on a leave of absence, and I tried to go through, and they were like, "You're not approved. Is there something going on with your airline?" I was like, I don't think so. So I ended up calling my chief pilot, and he's like, "Oh crap," and they had to go fix it. But that's what happens. You have to be approved and in the system, and so there's a whole background check and all this stuff that allows you to be in the system. So when you scan the barcode, it shows up there. The other thing that happens now, which wasn't really happening at this time, is it decides when you get a random security check. So it'll pop up and there will be like random, and now you got to go through the regular passenger security line that you see. Sometimes you'll see a random pilot or flight attendant going through that line. And usually what that is because they went through the KCM, they got random, and then they go through there. The old system used to be they would just like check off a box, and then when they get like every 10 person, they would just send them over there. Now it's just system generated, although for me it seems like 50% of the time I get random, so it doesn't seem that random. But anyways, that's how it works right now. Barcode, scan, picture, you're either allowed to go in or you're not. And it looks like everything went well. He leaves the TSA.
So for you that works at the airport or whatever that's watching my channel, is this true or not? If you're working at the airport or you know someone that works there, is this true? So leave in the comments if you know someone that works at the airport, or you knew someone or whatever, or if you flying on airplanes.
It goes right on up the
or
stairs,
anything.
and the flight attendants behind him, it doesn't seem like there was any issues at this checkpoint. From that point, you either head to your crew room, which a lot of times is behind the security area, so that way if you're sitting on reserve and they need you, you can quickly get to your gate. You already have everything already approved through security, or you're gonna head to your gate. Depends on what kind of time frame you're on. If you're showing up to the airport and you're 45 minutes before departure, let's say, you might go straight to your gate. In this case, the pilot passes security. He's seen here making his way to the gate. He's just starting his first flight of the pattern, meaning he's coming from home and not a layover. Minneapolis is his home base airport, so he's very familiar with it, but he comes across something that is very unusual, and it's this random security checkpoint. You can see the pilot hesitate for a minute as he approaches before going and talking to one of the agents, who I'm guessing will confirm that everyone's bag needs to be looked into. And that's where things start to go downhill for this pilot. According to one of the agents that was in this area, this is how they described the pilot's appearance.
Pilot, he looked a little disheveled, like he had the white with the epaulets and that, but it was dire need of an ironing. It was kind of a schleppy look.
Now, I understand the pilot's hesitation here because he's at his home airport, very familiar with it. If this was a place that he'd never been to, he probably would have been like, okay, this is what we're doing here at this airport. You kind of just go with the flow. But being at his home airport, he's very familiar. He's probably been there for years and going in and out of that airport. And so the hesitation I understand, and then going over to the agent and going like, is that something that I have to do or is that just a passenger thing? So I understand that hesitation. But his actions after this raise some alarm bells. After the pilot walks away from the inspection area, the supervisor reports his suspicious behavior to the police, who start looking for him and trying to figure out where he went. The pilot makes his very long way through the terminal, so where is he going? After going down the escalator and far from the terminal that he was trying to make his way to, he walks in here, the bathroom. So why walk so far away from the area that you're trying to go to when it appears that there was a bathroom right by your checkpoint? I don't know Minneapolis very well. I've only been there a few times, but this sign right here appears to be a bathroom sign of sorts. And even if that sign isn't for a men's bathroom.
Wow. So you walk halfway to another section of the airport and the bathroom is directly right there? I ain't never been in an airport. I've been like in a bus station, but that was years ago when I was a kid. But I ain't never like went to a different country. I wish I could one day before I get cooked, but still, one day God will bless me to travel, to go to my favorite place or wherever. But but that ain't about me. But still, he had a bathroom right there, right there, right there. But you go all the way to another section, like downstairs.
Usually they're all pretty close together. So why leave and walk so far away from the direction you're trying to go, unless you were trying to do something you didn't want anyone to see? Especially these guys. As he was approaching this gate, he may have noticed these guys right here, who look like some type of law enforcement, that are standing right by the bathroom. Of course, there are no bathroom cameras, so we can't be for sure exactly what he was doing in there. But according to police records, he was in there for 27 seconds as he walked back out and went to the security checkpoint that he had originally walked away from. And while he was there, the police come over to ask him, "What were you doing? Where did you go?" The pilot says he went into the crew room, which is an area that the pilots usually hang out in before our flights. But when pilots call the eye in the sky, they confirm that he actually walked into this bathroom. Like a good police officer, they're thinking, why would he lie about going to a crew room when he went to the bathroom? So they went into the bathroom to see if there was anything suspicious in there. Now, meanwhile, while the police are in this bathroom looking through everything, the pilot and one of the flight attendants head down the jet bridge. It's common on day one of your pattern that everybody's coming in staggered because people are coming from home or they're coming from wherever they're staying, a hotel, whatever it is, and they're starting their trip. Unlike what you might be used to seeing where there's a group of pilots and flight attendants that are moving together, that's usually coming off of a layover. But in the very first start of your pattern, since everybody's scattered about, you'll have a
My assumption is that he had some illegal substance.
time that you need to be there at the plane, but everyone's scattered and coming in within 5, 10, 15 minutes of that time. Then you'll meet up there and you'll start your trip. So them going down there is totally normal. This pilot would start doing their pre-flight duties, like doing a walk around and setting up and pre-flighting the aircraft. Meanwhile, the police are here in the bathroom and they found something hidden in the trash, which caused them to be even more suspicious of this pilot. And they have to move quickly because this Delta aircraft is already starting to board. If it pushes back and takes off, there's really not much the police can do until the plane lands. The police officers are quickly dispatched over to the gate. And this is when the gate agent knows it's going to be a problem because it's not just one, not two, but at least 3 different officers, including this guy, who's a detective. And you're going to see why he's relevant later in this video. Now, anybody who's flown before, when they walk on the plane, a lot of times, well, if they're like me, they would look to their left and look into the flight deck and go, man, that's pretty small up there. So you know that it's not a lot of space, especially to have, because the captain's already up there. This guy's already shown up. So you have 2 pilots up there. So it's already kind of small. And now you've had 3 different, potentially, police officers, possibly a 4th, that have shown up there, onto the flight deck, so you're not going to be able to comfortably fit everybody up there. And what's interesting is this detective, while he's up there talking with them, people are getting onto the aircraft, and the officer, the detective, offers for this pilot to call in sick, which he says, no, I feel fine, I want to go do the flight. Either way, once it becomes obvious that this plane is definitely not going anywhere, passengers are quickly told to get back off of the jet bridge and head back up to the gate where they're going to wait. After they finish deplaning, you see the pilot here in handcuffs being removed from the plane. But you'll notice that he isn't wearing the same hat that he had on earlier. He's wearing a ball cap, which to me is a bit strange. That means that the police officer or the detective, whoever was arresting him, gave him the courtesy of putting something on, I guess, to hide his face. But my thought would be, if that is what you're trying to do, is trying to show up low-key, would it be taking off your uniform shirt? I am used to, well, I have seen it many times, people walking through the airport with police in handcuffs. Usually they have a sweater or something over their hands trying to hide it, but it's pretty apparent who's who. I've seen senators before that are walking through the airport. Rand Paul, one time I saw him coming into Cincinnati, and it catches your eye because you'll see a person and 2 or 3 police officers, which is, by the way, that senator wasn't being arrested. I'm just saying, it catches my eye when I see somebody with police officers around them.
Girl, the senator is diabolic. You feel me?
So if I was trying to, let's say I got arrested in this situation and I was trying to be really low-key about it, the hat makes sense, but I would also just take off my uniform shirt and put on a regular shirt. That would attract a lot less attention. If I'm walking through as a passenger or a normal person and I see a pilot with handcuffs, the baseball hat isn't going to be like, oh, everything's normal here. It would draw even more attention than otherwise. So about 3 hours after all this started, where he showed up to the gate, he's taken back here to the police station for a breathalyzer and a blood test, which is common. I've been randomed before, and that means they can either drug test you, they can do a urine test, we call it a piss test, or you can be breathalyzed, meaning you...
Sorry for pausing it, but I remember it was one video or a movie that I watched where this pilot was like driving an airplane drunk or something. Like, yeah, I remember that. And he was like flying an airplane drunk, bro. Like, you endangering people's lives. Like, what the heck, bro? That's like, I'm telling y'all, be safe
into the
on
tube.
these
It can
airplanes,
be both. I've had it just random throughout the years. It happens, so that's common. The other thing is that if you were ever involved in an incident, let's say you're flying and something major breaks on your plane, there's a mayday, let's say you have a major engine malfunction or a landing gear malfunction, even though it has literally nothing to do with you as a crew, when you land, you better expect that you're going to be breathalyzed and you're going to get your blood taken. They're going to take your blood so that way there's no question about it. They're going to look for drugs, they're going to look for alcohol, they're going to look for everything. Now, if you don't have anything in your system, no big deal, but that is normal. So it's just kind of part of what you sign up for when you be a pilot, and they're going to give you that $300 million aircraft to fly a bunch of people on. That's part of the other side of it. You got to be responsible. Which leads us into the interrogation where it all starts to unravel.
All right. All right. So I read your rights earlier, right? Yeah. You kind of recall those rights and you still want to talk to me? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. So do you kind of just, before I ask you any questions, do you kind of just want to tell me kind of what's been going on and just start over and...
Yeah, I'll start over.
Okay.
Yeah, I know I had one bag and I knew that it was legal to bring it through there, but I guess I was more than anything just embarrassed to have it.
Yeah.
So I did throw it out. So I apologize. That's all that I had in there.
Okay.
I didn't see anything else.
Okay.
And then I honestly I don't know how I still have or possibly had alcohol on my breath yet, because I did.
Be careful on these airplanes. These pilots are flying drunk, bro. You cannot fly an airplane drunk, bro. No. Alcohol still in your system. No, you're not capable of flying an airplane, twin. Man, you crash out goofy.
Yesterday afternoon, but
Okay.
I know it was.
What he's apologizing for is throwing away a bottle of liquor. And I'm not talking about the minis you've flown on first class or you've seen on airplanes, or potentially you've seen flight crew. We had these little minis sometimes on layovers, and they're just one shot. So he's not talking about apologizing about throwing a mini in the trash. He had something a little bit more. According to reports, they found this: an unopened bottle of a 1.75 liters of Phillips vodka. And this isn't just a generic photo of vodka that it pulled off the internet. This is actually the brand that he was drinking. Now when I saw that, I thought, oh, this must be some, I'm not a big drinker, but I thought this must be some really cool brand of vodka that I've never heard of before. And so I jumped online and Googled it to see what does it look like. Spoiler alert, they sell it at Target for $14.09.
Down bad. Target. Oh my damn. I will leave a link in the description below if you want to go check out the original channel. But yeah. Alright. Make sure you go check out 74 Gear. Be safe on these airplanes, because these pilots are flying drunk. Oh my. Oh my. It's not even safe to leave the country, because you don't know if these pilots are drunk. Hey.